Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Rebecca and it is finally time for us to talk about depth year again, 2 years later. If you're new to my channel, in 2020 I talked about trying a depth year, and I talked about it in my journaling videos, which is mostly what I was doing at the time, and it never really happened. So I've been watching a lot of Candy Soul and Soil's videos. I'll link her channel up above in the cards. She is lovely. And it's gotten me thinking again about depth year. About this idea of going deep into the things that you really love, and the ideas, the concepts behind it, the ones that are a bit larger than just the money factor. Although the money factor does factor in, haha. So we're going to be talking about all of this kind of stuff. So if you're interested, I hope that you will stick around. I suppose I should start this story at the beginning, and that's 2020 when I had heard of a depth year from Jessica the Story Witch, linked up above in the cards, and I wanted to do it. And in a way, I sort of ended up doing a depth year, just not at all what I imagined. I never fully conceptualized or verbally talked really about what I wanted from a depth year. I will find my old depth year video and I will link it. I haven't watched it back. It's probably kind of cringy, and if I watch it back, it might be hard for me to do things on YouTube if I'm gonna watch the videos back again later. So anywho, I know at the time I was thinking about, I wanted to read my books that I hadn't read, and I just did this because they're up there. I can look at them. I wanted to read my books that I hadn't read. I wanted to not spend a bunch of money on tarot decks and such. I bought about 30 tarot decks in 2020, if that tells you how the depth year went. And I made a journaling page that was like 2020 depth year, and I picked depth as my word of the year for depth year. And then it kind of just stopped. And I don't really remember fully how that happened. Except for, like many other things we would say now, looking back, the pandemic happened. And I think the pandemic brought a unique opportunity. And in hindsight, looking back, I did sort of complete my depth year, because the second page I made, titling my depth year, was, I literally wrote, I'm going deep with temperance. And that I definitely did. It was kind of an unintentional foreshadowing that, like, the depth I got that year had nothing to do with spending. The depth I got that year had everything to do with width. Before 2020, I had been on a path for a few years of my witchcraft, and it kind of slowly growing and developing and trying to find my way to it and find out what all I wanted to do with it and all of these things. And during that time, I had my tarot difficulty. You can check out my tarot story video and get those details there. And I was starting to find and kind of scratch the surface of who I am as a person and who I've always been and who I've always wanted to be. And then the pandemic hit, and suddenly I was at home all the time. It was socially acceptable for me to have lots of time to start diving into and studying things more deeply. I had at that point picked tarot back up and picked up astrology. And I wanted to go deep with those things, and I still do, and it's been 2 years. And the way I go deep is by buying all the stuff. I am one of those folks that I like to buy all the things. And so just over the time of the pandemic, it just kind of slowly fell away, this idea of depth year. And it did in such a way that I didn't even really notice it had happened until it was just done. Until one day I was just like, yeah, I'm not really doing this actually. So that's what happened the first time I attempted a depth year. And then in 2021, I did not even bother. Because I knew, and in hindsight, looking back, for those who speak astrology, advanced astrology, my perfection year, my perfection year for 2020 gave me a Time Lord planet of Jupiter, and Jupiter is all about expansion. And now it's been 2 years, even though it feels like it's been 20. Like, it legit feels like it's been 5 years. Is there anyone watching this video who doesn't feel like the whole pre-pandemic was an entire lifetime ago? Because I haven't met anyone who wouldn't say that. It feels like it's been at least 5 years. And so much has changed. Oh my God. Last year alone, 2020 was pretty mild for my family. Last year, just in the last September, October, November, December, and half of September, just in the last 3.5 months of 2021, my partner figured out that she is a transgender woman. We cut off a whole bunch of our family. We had, on her side, we had someone sleeping on our couch for 2.5 months. All this trauma got unpacked very quickly. I realized I liked women way more than I liked men, and way more than I thought I liked women. All of these things happened extremely quickly. I gained a bunch of new clients for my year ahead spread readings. Like, it was such a whirlwind. It was such a whirlwind. And so 2021, I stood no chance of hell, and I was afraid. I was afraid to try again because I have issues with money and shopping. I am impulsive. There's a chance I deal with mania sometimes. Nothing to the extent where I spend hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars, partly because I don't have thousands of dollars to spend. But I am not good with money. And I have shopaholic tendencies at best. I have all these sorts of habits where, like, as soon as we get any money, I feel this urge to spend it. And if I can't think of a way to spend it, I feel deeply uncomfortable. Why? I don't fucking know. It doesn't make any sense. I need all sorts of therapy. If you're watching back on this video and it's been like a few months since I posted it, or even a few weeks, can you just like leave a comment and be like, hey, Rebecca, have you started that therapy yet? Can you just do that for me? That'd be great. Thanks. I'm not good with money. I have a tendency, and I have for a long time, to blow the budget. Like, there's very rare times when I would go shopping and I wouldn't have to calculate how much to spend or how much I had spent before going to the cash, so I didn't have to put a bunch of stuff back while at the cash register while stuff had been rung up. And that was a habit that I developed learning the hard way. A few years ago, I was even worse. And over time, kicked my cupboard. Over time, I've been learning better money habits like that. Like, when I go clothes shopping at Value Village, instead of going to the cash and ringing it all up and then spending the extra money, which I don't have to spend because I don't want to stand there and take things off, and because, well, I love all the things, and I try and justify it to myself. Instead of doing that, once I've done my shopping, I do the math to see how much I have. Is it within budget? And I make sure I'm within budget to a much closer margin than I used to. And when I used to go shopping, I would wander through and I would look at every single possible thing I could, because what if I was missing out on something? What if hiding somewhere in the Value Village store, and I'm not exaggerating, this is actually the narrative that goes on in my brain. And yes, it is dramatic and silly, and it tricks me. And I used to listen to it, and my brain would sit there and go, what if somewhere in that Value Village there's the perfect shirt or the perfect knickknack, that one perfect thing that will solve all of your problems and make you feel a million times better about life. And suddenly everything will be right, and there won't be any voids, and there won't be any difficulty, and everything will just click, and you won't have to try so hard. What if? Isn't that worth spending extra money? It's not worth spending extra money because it doesn't exist. So I have trouble with money. I have trouble with overindulgence at all, like altogether. And this is with food, this is with money, this is with my time. My brain and my heart and my emotions have a lot of hard things that goes through them regularly. And I bury myself in other people's thoughts and other people's feelings and stuff and food. I bury myself in anything I can. Anything to help me avoid the fact that I feel like I don't know who I am. And the fact that I feel like I'm worthless. Except something has shifted. Because I don't believe I'm worthless anymore. I don't believe I'm worthless. I'm overwhelmed. I'm frustrated. I'm mad as all hell. I have a whole bunch of anger issues to process. I'm very hurt. I'm a lot of things. And worthless isn't even close to being on that list. And so, I guess that's what's led me back to thinking about depth. I'm very good at accumulating things. And piling things on top of me so much so that I can't function. And on the outside, I come across as a very functional person. I have pretty journals. I speak well. My kid seems well adjusted. But I'm not functional. I've never been a functional adult. I've been passing. I present as functional. And then if you come and spend a bit of time with me in my home, you'll start to see the truth. And something happened last year. When there was one day, and I don't know if I've talked about it here, and I was talking to Z, and we were talking about all the family stuff going on, and then she said to me, it's okay, Rebecca, I'm fine. And I looked at her, I said, you know what? I'm fucking tired of being fine. I don't want to be just fine anymore. I want to be fantastic. I want to be fabulous. I am tired of living life just fine. It's not good enough anymore. It was never good enough. And that was a big shift. And that was one of those moments where like everything in my brain shifted, and it will never be able to go back to being the way it was before, because I meant it wholly through. And I'm done. I'm done with just fine. I will struggle and I will fight, and I will only do those things. I will only spend the energy struggling and fighting for the things that are worth it. And being just fine is not worth it. So I do not strive to just be fine. I strive to be bloody fantastic. And this is a lot of the mentality shifting that's been going on. And then there was March 2022, my Judgment Month. And I will never be the same again. It was like all the things I'd been starting to learn, all the things I had started to realize about myself, about how I want to be in this world, who I really am. It's like it all came together at once. And it's like, in a lot of ways, the last layers of who I had tried to be when I was trying to just be fine, to just be okay, they all fell away because they weren't good enough anymore. They weren't good enough for me. I deserve better. You all deserve better too, by the way. If you're watching this, you deserve a life that's more than just fine. And I know sometimes it feels like just fine is all we can get. I don't actually believe that. I know there are lots of obstacles in our way. And I know depending on who you are as a person, those obstacles change. I don't at all mean to dismiss any of that. I just mean I had given up fighting. And I'm worth fighting for, even when it's hard. And even though it's hard, I believe that there are things I can do. Maybe I can't do everything. Maybe I can't build the ideal life that I envision for myself. There are things, though, that I can do that can improve my situation. And the only reason that I'm able to start on that is because I've realized and accepted that there were ways in which I was making my situation worse. Like with my spending. I didn't create capitalism, and I didn't make it so we live in a society that's telling me I need all this stuff. FOMO is a result of capitalism. My experiencing it is a symptom of the world we live in. It's true. At the same time, it is also true that there are ways in which I was making it worse for myself. There were a lot of examples of me feeding that mentality. I was feeding that mentality and making it stronger. Do you understand what I mean? I hope you do. My point is, I don't mean to dismiss the obstacles against us as individuals, because those are real and those are there. I just also mean that I don't think and I don't believe that we're as powerless as it feels like we are. So, trying to wrap up that bit of rambling, moving forward. The stuff that brought me to the point where I'm at now began when the North Node and the South Node of the Moon moved into Taurus and Scorpio. Scorpio for me is my 5th house, and Taurus is my 11th house. The 5th house being all things about my pleasure and joy, and the 11th house being about community and such. And I have Venus in Taurus, and I got this very strong, very distinct message that this shift, because the North and the South Node transit signs, I believe every year and a bit. Okay, every year and a half. So we have a year and a half of the North Node and the South Node being in each sign. It's now been about 3 months. And I got this very, very, very distinct, because the North Node is said to be the point we're moving towards, right? It's what you need to develop, and differing variations. It's what you're destined to have. And I got this very distinct feeling very early on when I heard my astrologer, Claire Moon, link in the description, her website. When I heard her talking about it, I got the message loud and clear, and I knew that this period, this 18-month period of the North Node and the South Node being in my 11th house and 5th house respectively was gonna be about my resources. And it was about letting go of some of the things that bring me joy so I could better serve and be part of and grow my community. Like, just for an example, if I'm constantly ordering new tarot decks and I'm constantly just playing with tarot decks instead of doing other work, I will never grow my community here. Even if I share videos of all the walkthroughs here, there's other parts of my job that I have to do in order for my job to be able to grow. And then today I got a call from a collector because, yes, like many people, I have debt from being an idiot in my 20s and pissing away money. I knew I never should have had a credit card, and I got one twice and I maxed it very quickly. The point is, I got this message and I knew that it was going to be time for me to deal with this. And it makes sense because the North Node and the South Node being what you're supposed to release, what you're supposed to surrender, what you're supposed to let go of, all that hanged man energy I'm dealing with this year, surrender being my word of the year. And it has been potent and powerful. And added that I am in the last full year of my Saturn return, and my Saturn return is all about others' resources as well. It's my 8th house. And of course, my spending and my money habits and my financial health affect my wife. And then today the phone rang and it was a collector. And for some reason I answered it. I knew it was a collector. And I answered it instead of ignoring it, which I've done a lot. Because another part of this very distinct message that I get is connected to that whole what is it called? Oh, I can't remember. It's connected to that whole mindset of like, you have to give in order to get. If I hold tight to everything I have all the time, I'm never leaving any space for anything new to grow, including the things I love and want to grow, like my relationships with my loved ones and my son, like my business, like my life's work. And I want all those things to grow. I'm scared. I'm going to lose them. I'm scared one day I won't have a relationship with my kiddo because I'm not the best mom. I'm trying. It's really hard. And I quite frankly don't know what to do. I'm scared I'll lose my wife because I'm not a good wife. I'm scared I'll lose myself somehow because I'm really good at losing myself within other people. I'm scared I'll lose my ability to do what I love here on YouTube and with readings with my clients. I'm scared. I'm scared all the damn time. And life's not going any slower. I'm 31, which is weird. I feel like 16, but I'm not. I'm 31 and I'm not complaining. It's all the fear in the world can't make the wheel spin any slower. I'm on the wheel. It's moving, whether I fight it or not. And all fighting is doing is keeping me in this place where I'm just fine. And as I said, I'm tired of being just fine. I refuse to do it anymore. And so I've come back to the idea of depth. and it feels right. It feels scary. It feels annoying. I like buying things. And I think still that if I say my depth year means no buying, that it feels like setting myself up for failure, because I just don't think that's realistic. I think my depth year needs to be framed differently. I don't think it would be healthy for me to frame it around money, because I am a person that proves the rule that sometimes with some people, if you frame it around don't do this, that's what's going to happen. Where instead you frame it, or instead it's best to frame it around something you do want to do, right? If I just sit here and say don't spend money, don't spend money, don't spend money, don't spend money, I'm gonna spend money. And I know that seems backwards, but hopefully some of you will understand what I mean. Whereas if I, instead of saying I don't spend money, I'm saying spend time with your decks. It's like when I want to watch less TV, instead of limiting how much time I want to spend on the TV, which never works for me and always feels restrictive and always fails and just makes me miserable. Instead of that, I replace that with I want to spend 1 hour that I would have spent watching TV reading. It's instead of just restricting the thing, I'm replacing with something that I want more of. So it's kind of like a swap. So I guess I'm giving it another shot with the depth year. And right now, as of this moment, it's April 1st as I'm filming this at 9 p.m. exactly, in case you're curious. Right now at this moment, I want to learn the tarot decks I have, for one. I do have a few more decks coming in already because I've pre-ordered and kickstarted a couple decks. So I'm hoping, and I also bought another deck that wasn't my bonfire. We'll talk about that another time though. So incoming, I've pre-ordered the Beltane, the Seasons of the Witch Beltane Oracle. I've pre-ordered the Cozy Witch Tarot, which is the one by Amanda Lovelace. I've pre-ordered, I kickstarted the Gentle Tarot in a Tin, which should be coming very soon. I have the Mystic Crow, Legends of the Crow, whatever the hell the Crow one is that I always forget. And then I have a couple of D&D Kickstarter game tarot things. So I've got 6 things coming in. That seems like a good amount to me. So why shouldn't that satisfy these itches for something new? And I'm tired. I'm so tired of spending money and feeling this instant oomph of joy, which I love, but then it fades. And then in order to get more, I have to buy more. I can't keep doing that. That will never get me out of the situation I'm in now. I have to give energy. It's a balance. And I just realized that's probably why it didn't work in 2020. Because in 2020, I did not understand what balance was, at least not at the beginning. I, like many people, thought balance was about just standing stationary and still and being balanced, which, while beautiful those moments may be, they're not realistic and they don't last forever. And now, here I am about to say that it's about the balance of, I want to build and prepare so that way I can do more in the future. And at the same time, I'm not willing to live my life simply waiting for a future that I have no guarantees of whether or not I'm going to get to it. Like, I don't want to save every single penny and never buy anything because I could save for a house quicker when I don't know if I'll live to get to that house, because you don't know what's going to happen in life. I don't want to get to the end of my life when I'm an old ass woman and say, I can't die yet. I never got a chance to live. And so here I am, attempting to balance that. Attempting to balance the need and the desire to live now in this moment I have, because no moment is guaranteed, with the need to work and take steps to improve our circumstances. So that way, hopefully one day I can do more. Hopefully one day my kiddo can do more. I really want him to be able to do things. I really want him to be able to see the world. I want to be able to take him places. And I can't do any of that now, because we're well below the poverty line. And a big part of the reason why we haven't been able to improve our position is because we've spent all of our extra money. And I am the big spearhead of that. I am very good at convincing people to spend money. Welcome to my shadow. I can be very manipulative, and I work every day to not be. I can also be extremely opportunistic. And I work every day to make sure I'm using that energy to grab the beautiful opportunities instead of the ones that are causing other people and myself harm. And it's a struggle. It's a fight every day. It's a fight that's gotten easier. I'm really actually proud of myself because I've come a long way. So, I need, now that I've come to the place where I feel like I have value, now that I've come to the place where I kind of like me, and I think I'm pretty awesome, and I'm ready to forgive myself and move on. Now that I've come to this place, all I want is to sink deeper into the things I love and the people I love, so to sink deeper with them. And that list includes me. So, I want to learn my tarot decks. I want to determine by the end of this year, I want to be able to come on here and tell you guys which of the decks were for me and which of the decks need to move on. I want to figure out how to read for myself. I want to go through my books and decide which ones are actually for me to read and keep those. Get rid of the ones that aren't, and I want to read them. I have a lot of books up there, so I want to be able to come here on the end of the year and tell you all what I did read. I want to keep all my stuff in one book. And at the end of the year, I want to come on and sit down and show you how beautiful my spiritual book of shadows, my bullet journal of shadows is. Not to brag, but because I'm proud of it and because I love it. I want to build spiritual practices that support and nurture me, that are based on me alone. And be able to introduce some of that stuff to my kiddo. I want to spend more time with my kiddo. I really want to spend more time with my kiddo. And I want to spend more time with my wife, but her and I are pretty great, so I don't worry as much about that. I need therapy. A lot. I need a lot of therapy. And one of the things that happened in March was a potential repressed memory coming to the surface. And anyone who has repressed memories, or who has had repressed memories, I don't need to say more to say that that's a big deal. And don't ask, because I'm not going to tell you. Not that most of you would ask, but, you know, boundaries. And that's another thing I want to go deeply with. I want to find my core. I want to go deep into inner child healing and inner teenager healing. I saw a TikTok today where someone was like talking about how they did all this inner healing work and they're not inner child healing work and they're not understanding, and then their inner teenager is screaming. And I mean, they make a great point. I don't know about you guys, but when people talk to me and mention inner child work, I always picture a little kid. I never picture the teenager. And my God, does my inner teenager really need some help? I want to go deeper with astrology and deeper with tarot. I want to be able to tell you guys to do a video at some point this year, definitely by the end of the year. I want to do a video where I go through my altar and I'm able to tell you what type of supplies I use regularly. I think I'm finally starting to admit to myself that I'm more of a ritual work, like, than a spell work kind of person. Occasionally I want to do spells, but I really like doing rituals where I guess I like doing ritual spells, but I like doing rituals where I like build up the energy for the intention and release it and then just let it go and do its thing. But I want to be able to tell you guys about that. And I can't tell you if I haven't figured it out. I want to find the center of my work. And I think I am. Because I have lots of little things I like to do, and I'm not ready to give all of those up at all. But I can't do everything. I could do like 5 of the things instead of 20. And a big part of my issue is that I feel like I've missed the pinnacle around which to build my life's work. I want to go deep into the shadow and into the shade, into the heart, into the soul, into the fire, into the shadow of my food issues and my spending issues. I want to heal. I'm ready to do all these things. And I don't know how to explain the feeling unless someone's been there themselves. I'm not going to say I'm not going to buy things, but I need to go deep and drastically heal my relationship with money, my relationship with my spouse around money, because she hasn't had an easy time dealing with me. She's been wonderful. When I went shopping recently for clothes, I came in under budget for the first time ever. Me and my spouse have been together 11 years. It's the first time I ever came in under budget, and I was almost $100 under budget. I just had found enough that I felt really good about, and I was stunned that I didn't spend all my money. And then I got that feeling like I had to spend it all. To me, a depth year is really about going deep with the self. And everything that we choose is just different facets or branches that extend off the self that we want to explore and grow and deepen. I'm going to finish Rebel Witch. I'm going to read the Self-Worth Path. Lisa, I love you. That is hard to say fast. My goodness. I have a book, The Dance of the Dissonant Daughter, which is about healing religious trauma. I have Drawing Down the Moon, I borrowed from a friend finally. I've got lots of things. And at the end of the year, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to tell you all that I've learned how to check things off my to-do list without carrying them over for months. Because yes, there are things on my to-do list that have been on there for months. I want to heal my relationship with my home. Things have been improving, but there's a lot of work I want to do. And it's all extremely important and really scary and really daunting and overwhelming. And I simply can't do it all if I keep burying myself in stuff and new things. So I feel like there's one more deck coming in that's more recent, that was not a pre-order. And it's weird. I have this feeling like that deck, it feels like a final piece somehow. I don't understand. Like, I've been getting this growing feeling with my tarot decks that, like, now that I understand my style, I've been wondering, is my tarot collection almost complete? Have I reached the point? I don't think I'm going to be a person who has a lot of tarot decks. Well, that depends on your definition, but I don't think I'm going to have a very large collection. I think I will have a good sized, with lots of options, curated collection. And I feel like I'm almost there. And I feel like this last deck and the ones I know I've got coming in will kind of tick those off. And even one of the ones I've got coming in, I'm pretty sure is gonna oust one I already have. And I feel like that's the point I'm getting to, that I'll just have decks and occasionally something will come along that has to teach me something new that I will get, or that will be a level up from something I've already had. I think I'm finally ready. I don't know what the hell took me so long. And I wouldn't change a single step that I took to get here. Because this feeling of finally being here and finally feeling like I can be okay with me, it's worth everything. It's worth every moment of hardship and confusion and pain and suffering and tear. It's worth it all. I'm finally ready to shine. which is what I've always wanted to do. So that is my ridiculous depth year video. Stay tuned. I'm hoping to do a series where I can do updates, like the video where I go through my books. I want to do that one soon. And I'm having so many ideas for filming. I'm loving it. So stay tuned. I'll let you go. In the description box below you can find all my details, my Patreon, my readings you can book with me, and consultations. I am a small business owner trying to build her business, and I can't do it without support. So if all you can do is just hit the buttons, like this video, subscribe, hit the bell notification, share maybe, tell someone about me, that's a huge help. That's a huge, 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 huge help. So, yeah. Yeah, I feel good. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed this weird video. Lots of love.